Welcome to this explainer. It's pretty wild to think that some of our most complex decisions, we're talking everything from diagnosing rare diseases to catching million-dollar financial fraud, basically rely on drawing one perfectly placed line. Today, we're unraveling one of the most reliable, highly accurate supervised learning algorithms in the entire data science toolkit. We're talking about the Support Vector Machine, or SVM. If you're getting into machine learning, understanding how SVMs classify data is an absolute must. So let's just dive right in and figure out exactly how these algorithms hunt down the perfect separation between different types of data.
Okay, so imagine you're looking at a map. You've got a bunch of scattered red dots and blue dots, and your job is to draw a single, perfectly straight line to separate them. Sounds easy enough, right? But what if there are literally infinite ways to draw that line? It's kind of a puzzle. How do machines actually know where to draw the best possible line? Well, they don't just guess. They use a highly specific mathematical strategy to find the optimal path.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's use a real-world analogy. Think about placing a fence in a playground to separate two groups of students. Now, your goal isn't just to physically separate them. You want to place that fence so it's kept as far away from both groups as humanly possible. Think of yourself as a highly stressed recess monitor who just wants to give everyone plenty of space to avoid any chaos. In machine learning, that perfectly placed, ultra-safe fence represents our SVM decision boundary.
Before we start building any fences, though, let's map out exactly where SVM lives in the broader machine learning universe. SVM is a form of supervised learning. That just means the algorithm learns from labeled examples provided by a supervisor. It's like training a system to recognize spam emails by showing it 1,000 carefully labeled examples of exactly what spam looks like. That is fundamentally different from unsupervised learning, where the machine is just handed unlabeled data and told to discover hidden patterns entirely on its own. Back in our SVM universe, that playground fence we just talked about is mathematically called a hyperplane. By definition, a hyperplane is simply the decision boundary that divides the input space into different class regions. Now, if you're working with simple two-dimensional data, this hyperplane is literally just a flat 1D line. Jump into 3 dimensions, and it's a 2D flat plane. The primary job of the SVM algorithm is to locate this exact hyperplane to split our data as neatly and safely as possible.
Now, the real secret sauce here involves what we call support vectors. These are the absolutely critical data points that sit right on the very edge of the boundary lines. They're the most crucial points in your entire data set because they literally anchor the boundary. Get this, if you were to delete all the other regular data points lying safely deep inside their own territories, the central boundary wouldn't change one bit. The SVM focuses all of its computational attention purely on these closest, most challenging points to figure out where to draw the line.
And the space surrounding that central boundary brings us to our next fundamental concept, the margin. The margin is just the distance from the central hyperplane to those closest instances, our support vectors, on either side. Here's the key takeaway. An optimal separating hyperplane maximizes this margin. It gives the model maximum breathing space. By keeping the boundary as far from the data points as possible, the model is so much better equipped to accurately classify brand new, totally unseen data in the future.
But let's be real for a second. Real-world data is almost never perfectly clean. What happens when a stripped, hard boundary just isn't physically possible? What if a few of those blue dots wander over into the red dot territory? If we force our algorithm to draw a perfectly straight line with 0 errors, it might fail entirely. Or, even worse, it might create a terribly skewed boundary that is wildly overfit to the training data and completely useless on future data.
So when data is tangled up and non-separable, SVM uses what mathematicians call slack variables to create a soft margin. Basically, the model lets a few data points actually exist right inside the margin, or even misclassifies them entirely on the wrong side of the central line. By introducing a penalty parameter, the model is willingly accepting a few mistakes in the training data just to ensure that the overall boundary is smoother, more robust, and ultimately a much better fit for the messy real world.
Now, a soft margin beautifully handles random outliers, but that brings up an even more complex challenge. What if the data sets are just wildly intertwined? Imagine the red dots form a tight, solid circle, and the blue dots completely surround them like a donut. A flat, straight line is never going to be able to separate those groups, no matter how much slack you give it.
This is where the true power of SVM totally shines. Instead of rigid, flat lines, we can apply things like the radial basis function, or RBF for short, to create perfectly curved boundaries. These act almost like flexible, spherical windows that wrap tightly around the data points. By tweaking the parameters, we can actually instruct the algorithm to draw highly complex, incredibly smooth, nonlinear boundaries that encapsulate those clustered groups in a way a rigid straight line never ever could.
So how on earth is the machine computing all these complex curves without completely freezing up? It relies on a super famous mathematical shortcut known as the kernel trick. The kernel trick maps our data into much higher dimensions where a simple linear boundary actually can be drawn. Think of it like this. Imagine having red and blue dots completely mixed together on a flat piece of paper. You can't draw a single straight line to separate them. But if you creatively fold and warp that paper up into 3D space, suddenly you can just slice a flat sheet of glass right through the middle to separate the colors. The kernel trick calculates all these dimensional relationships without forcing your computer to carry the heavy computational cost of physically building the 3D map. It's essentially a mathematical cheat code that saves your machine from crashing while delivering unbelievable accuracy.
Up until now, we've been talking exclusively about sorting things into distinct, separate categories, like deciding if an email is spam or not spam. That's classification. But SVMs are actually incredibly versatile. They can also perform regression, which is the process of predicting continuous, flowing numbers. Think forecasting next month's stock market volatility or predicting fluctuating house prices. This specific adaptation is known as support vector regression.
What's fascinating here is how the core SVM logic completely flips for regression tasks. Instead of creating a margin to push data points away, support vector regression uses an epsilon-sensitive tube to actually capture data points. Imagine a solid line representing our actual prediction, with dashed lines creating a literal tube around it. The algorithm basically ignores any small predictive errors as long as they fall comfortably inside this tube. It only penalizes the outliers that sit completely outside of it. This makes the regression model incredibly robust against noisy, messy data.
So, once you've built your SVM, how do you know if it's actually doing a good job? Well, you can't rely on basic accuracy alone. If your SVM is predicting medical diagnoses, a false positive or a false negative carries massive, life-altering, real-world costs. To evaluate effectively, we use metrics like precision, which checks how many of your positive predictions were truly correct. Then there's recall, which checks how many actual positive instances you successfully managed to track down. And finally, the F1 score provides a balanced harmony of those two, giving you a really true, nuanced read on your model's actual performance.
Okay, so we've mastered the math, the boundaries, and the evaluation metrics, but here is a profound, urgent question that every single data scientist absolutely must consider. What if the mathematically perfect decision boundary is actually socially biased? Remember, supervised learning relies entirely on historical training data. If that historical data contains embedded human prejudices, your beautifully coded SVM will just obediently draw a highly accurate boundary around those exact prejudices. It's effectively automating and scaling inequality.
And bias in AI doesn't just spontaneously happen, right? It sneaks into the system through a few key doors. First, it comes from data bias, where our training sets might be incomplete or historically discriminatory. It also comes from algorithmic bias, where a model that's designed to optimize for overall accuracy completely overlooks the needs of underrepresented minorities. Plus, it can sneak in through human bias during the initial development phase, and even during the model's eventual deployment out into the wild.
The real-world impact of this is undeniable. Algorithmic bias remains a really stubborn, persistent issue today. These systems frequently misclassify underrepresented groups if they aren't carefully, constantly monitored. For instance, facial recognition technologies have been shown to misclassify women and people of color at disproportionately high rates, and healthcare AI can severely underperform for minority populations. So, the math might work perfectly, but the outcome completely fails society. So, how do we actually fix this? Well, developers have to proactively inject fairness into every single step of the machine learning lifecycle. It starts right at data collection, using techniques like data augmentation and stratified sampling to ensure diverse representation. Then, during feature engineering, we deliberately select features with fairness in mind. Next, we evaluate our models using specific fairness metrics, not just overall accuracy. And finally, during deployment, organizations must conduct continuous bias audits and leverage explainable AIs so humans can understand exactly why a model is making its decisions.
Getting this right is incredibly important because support vector machines are deployed literally everywhere. They're protecting major financial institutions by detecting fraud and analyzing stock volatility. They're silently filtering out unauthorized spam emails from your inbox every day. They are hard at work in hospitals, aiding in super complex medical diagnoses. They power massive image recognition databases and even help retail chains make demographic-based inventory decisions. They are a totally versatile engine driving our modern data-heavy world.
Support vector machines offer us this elegant, mathematically robust way to draw the line and make perfect sense of complex data using optimal hyperplanes and incredibly clever kernel tricks. But with that incredible predictive power comes a huge responsibility to heavily scrutinize the data we feed them. As you step forward to create your own algorithms, are you ready to build machine learning models that are not only highly accurate, but truly fair? The power to draw the line is yours. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.